Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, we have the Zack Olsen on the pod today. If you know him, you love him. He's an exciting Energizer bunny to the team this year in Dallas, leading many of the troops, and also just a great sales rabbit on the board. We feel lucky to have him. Zack has several years of door-to-door experience. Started out in pest control, had a brief hiatus to do some solar, and then has now landed back here, slinging some pests with us. And we feel lucky to have you and your leadership and all that stuff. So thanks for being on, Zack.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me.
But so really quick, I kind of gave a preface there on like your origin story and kind of getting started and getting going. But when did the entrepreneurial roller coaster that is Zack Olsen start? Where did it take off?
So it was freshman year at BYU. I took this one class, Entrepreneurship 101. It had really cool professor Corbin Church as well as Casey Baugh, amazing example. And so they just switched off and gave different lecture series. And so I started in there and it just helped me expand my mind and just think of, okay, there's so much I can do out there. And so I started looking at, okay, I wanted to do sales, wanted to get into it. And I looked back at more of everything my parents did for me. My dad was always there saying, hey, I'm here if you need help financially. And I was like, no, I'm good. Freshman year, I just was donating plasma to just have like fun money to pay rent and everything. And I just didn't want to ask parents for help, but heard different things from sales. And so that's sort of what sparked my interest. And I wanted to go out there and make a name for myself.
So, I mean, basically, you, if I'm hearing you right, you kind of were like, hey, like I want to go out, make a name for myself. You didn't really have much knowledge of like what summer sales was, and did you approach somebody or did someone approach you? Like, how was that? Like, who brought you on and helped you get going on your first summer?
Yeah, so I was at a taco party in Provo, and I was just there. This one dude was talking about, oh, I have some Topgolf with this company. I can take people to Topgolf as much as you want. And I go, oh, that's sick. I was like, I've never been to Topgolf. And so we were talking about that, and he talked about different experiences and how he had sold 2 years before that. And I was like, oh, that's kind of interesting. I had no idea about it, but I just saw potential throughout it. And I was like, okay, I'll give it a try. So I met with them. I had a fun it was tricky right at the beginning trying to figure out where I was going to land. But I was back and forth between a few companies and then finally ended up landing at Aptiv. So
cool. Well, sick. And as far as like that first year getting out there and going and selling and stuff, I mean, we talk a lot of times about sales and stuff, but like emotionally, just getting out, going away from home again, choosing to go out on like a hero's journey of like, I'm going to leave, I'm going to go do something hard and hopefully come back. Like with it being a success. I mean, obviously, I don't think people go out and die during summer sales, but like come back with it being a success story. Talk to me initially, like there's the moment like, okay, I'm excited that we went to the Topgolf, we've done all those fun things. But then there's that moment when you get out in your first area and you're getting thrown out a little bit. What were some things you did in the beginning to keep things positive, lighthearted, and just make it a fun, enjoyable experience when you're in those tougher, rougher moments?
Yeah, one thing that helped me a ton with that is before the summer, with some of the trainings, we really focused a lot on our whats and our whys. And for me, I'm someone who I love items. I had on some of my whats, I was like, okay, I want a pair of Jordans. And these are like my first pair of Jordans, actually, the first ones that I got my first summer from hitting an incentive. But I was like, I wanted a pair of Jordans. I wanted, I had a few other like itemized goals. And then my big goal for the whole summer was, okay, I wanted to buy a Subaru Crosstrek. And so it's kind of fun. I drive an orange Subaru Crosstrek right now. But for me, I looked at the whats, but also the whys. The whys dove a little deeper into who I wanted to be as a person. Days do get long. Days do get hard. And especially sort of getting thrown into this, not really understanding what was in store for the whole experience. But every single day when I was like wanting to take a long break, sit around and just like, oh, this is hard. I don't like getting yelled at. I don't like getting rejected. I started looking at, okay, why am I here? And a lot of them was, I want to show that, yes, hard things do excite me. Hard things. A lot of people try to avoid hard things, but I feel like people in the world ask, I wish life was easier. And life will never be easier. What I've learned through experience is, although we wish at times life was easier, as we get stronger, life becomes easier, but then we still have to keep coming or overcoming these obstacles. That's something that I looked at, and it's like, I am never someone to quit. When I start something, I'm going to do it. And so I was out there and I go, okay, I'm here. I'm here until the end, which was August 25th. I go, I'm here every single day. I'm already missing out on family vacations. I'm already not with my friends. I'm not doing these other things. Let's make the most of it. And so that just helped me take one step at a time and look at it at a very close concept instead of the very long journey of the process, just one day at a time.
I love it. One thing that, as you were talking, that just kind of came to me is, I think a lot of times in life we get told, like, the family vacation, the rest, the beach, the ease, the nice things, those are like what happiness looks like. But when you think about like stories or like books, movies, there's the hero's journey of like, man, it gets really tough. They go out there, they accomplish something, they come back and they find more of themselves and they grow and they learn. And there's a lot of obstacles there that you have to go through. And then and one of the great things about summer sales is it makes you do that. It makes you go out and have a journey and have an experience. Whereas I think a lot of times if you're a person that's always focused on the vacation, the ease, the not doing something hard, you're going to miss out on a lot of fun stories in life. Because there's so much fun stuff that happens when you're in the mud and in that rough and tough and going out and making it. And I just think, like, even this year with the team, there's been highs, there's been lows, and when you are in those lows, like looking back now, like even 3 or 4 weeks ago, at some of the stories and some of the stuff that happened, I'm laughing about it and thinking that was so fun. But in the moment, it felt like, oh man, this is tough. But the moment becomes gold just because you're already like the moment becomes gold when you're looking back. Maybe not always in that moment, but I just think it's important to have that mindset of like, I want to make something of myself rather than just have a good instant moment.
Yeah, so. And to speak to that a little bit, something that I always think of is choose your hard. My first year, so I had friends that made fun of me. Oh, why are you doing that? You can come boating with us all summer. You can have all this fun. I'm like, okay, but choose your hard. Some of us choose our hard later in life. We have fun now, and we don't set ourselves up for this future success. And so we're boating. We're pushing responsibility. We're fine with our $10 an hour job that's making us survive college. But it's also okay if I choose my hard now. I'm going out. I'm doing a lot of things that most people wouldn't want to do now to set myself up so that my future is not hard. I can get investments. I can do all these other things and find so much more success now so that I have an easier life. And while some of my friends who are playing now, they're going to be having to work later. And so it's like I look at these different options of, obviously I'm still going to work later, but it's more of I won't have to be as stressed because I have a lot of safety and securities that I've put in place now by putting my head down and working.
Love it. One of your gifts in sales, just like in the short time that I've got to work with you, you're a people person. You have a personality. You have the seller's laugh, the smile, all those things. Were those, like, I think a lot of times people think those are somewhat of that's natural, but I've even seen people that naturally have those, that when they start selling, those aren't things that are easy for them to pull out. Generally, you need a lot of like reassurance for those things to kind of warm up and get going. But I've seen you even in tough situations get really good at like throwing in a joke or two. And so talk to me on that. When did you realize that those were important weapons to have in your arsenal when going out and selling? And when did you feel comfortable kind of veering from the script, adding those in to then enhance? Like, obviously the pitch is important, but like a big part of your sales process is your personality and kind of adding that in. So talk to me on that.
Yeah, I feel like for me, naturally, I do have a very like outgoing, fun personality. I love people. I love joking around. I love connecting. And so when I started selling, it was tough at times because I was dealing with a lot of rejection, not about me, but obviously just selling. And so that was tough in the beginning. Like, okay, I hated rejection. And so one of the things was, okay, they're not rejecting me. And so I started to love that. And just no matter what, when I'd get sworn at or whatever, I would just a little like double chest pound or whatever and move on to the next door. And that helped me. But what I started, as I just studied different books and like Happiness Advantage and How to Win Friends and Influence People, I love How to Win Friends and Influence People because it talks about personal relationships with people. We have a script, and obviously we have to get to the certain points in the script, but if you're not looking at them as a person, then they won't really listen to you as a person also. Mm-hmm. And so that's where I love getting to know people. And there are certain days where it's like you'll have hard days, and I find success in a lot of different ways. Obviously it's through deals, but it's also sometimes I love learning from people. And so if they're just sort of like mean or something, I'll try to like lighten their mood and then just try to like ask them if they need help with anything. They always say no, but well, not always. I once mowed a lady's lawn, but
no way.
She needed it. She was out there mowing and I was like, ma'am, and she was like yelling at me and stuff. I go, ma'am, listen, I am not going to sell you anything. Just please let me help you with your lawn. Because she had like arthritis and I saw she was struggling a little bit. And so she sat down. I just went and I mowed. Probably took like 30 minutes. But it was just like I look for a way to serve people each day because that helps my mood. I'm happier. And then that obviously portrays or continues out on the door. Because if I'm happier and I'm in a better mood, then other people will feel a little bit more lighthearted and enjoy my presence there.
Well, when you're so merchant-minded, like if it's all transactional, it's just going to be a long and hard day just because there is so much rejection. And you're not going to be like, you're going to find a lot of reasons to be like, oh, I'm in the deficit column. Where if you can just get really good experiencing life and just being like, oh, I'm just having a good time, taking the small wins, it's just a funner way to live, and you eventually just exude success. So I think that's a big key, and that's something that you're good at. Kind of talk to me really quick. I mean, you've brought up a couple of those books, but I'm a good one-liner guy. Like I love like a good motivational quote, or is there anything you've heard lately that you're like, this is a good one-liner that I think can apply to anyone that's in sales? So anyone going out and doing direct door-to-door, what we do, what's like a line that you're like, this is a great quote and I think it can benefit anybody that it's leading a team, selling, or just maybe personally motivating themselves?
I have an idea. Okay. It's one of my favorite quotes, but I'm really bad at memorizing some things.
Same.
But I made a little website a few years ago.
I'm
an IS major.
We'll clip in the link below.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah. I also made one for dating also. It's a...
And that one costs extra. Well, that's for $19.95. Yeah.
But this is a quote that I added to the top of this where it says, if you are completely comfortable with your life and feeling absolutely no anxiety, then you are probably coasting and not really growing. And that's from Marty Growth. I love that because it sort of goes along with doing hard things. If you are comfortable and you feel like you're happy with where you are and it's fine, and it's just like life is very neutral in that sense, and there's no bumps, you're not having these super high highs or these really deep lows, then I feel like you're not actually growing. You're just there. And that's something that it's to be able to be your best self, to be able to reach your full potential, you have to run into these roadblocks, because that's where you actually find out who you are, what type of person you are. Are you going to turn around and be like, dang it? Or are you going to, okay, let's figure out how to get by it.
I love that. And tying that into like a rep's going out every day and selling, I think a lot of times people can get a temperature of like, I'm a 2-a-day guy. I'm a 4-a-day guy. I'm a 5-a-day guy. And that's comfortable. All of a sudden that starts to be like, this is what I get every day. And when you take the risk of being like, oh, I'm actually going to be no longer a 2-a-day, I'm going to be a 4-a-day, or I'm going to be a 4-a-day, I'm going to be a 5, or I'm a 5, I'm going to be a 7, I'm going to be 8 or 10, all the way up to like the most successful, to the bottom, the toe pole. I think you can mentally decide one day to come in and just be like, no, like I'm going to demand a higher level of success for myself and for my life. This is what it's going to look like. And it's going to feel really uncomfortable. and you're going to feel, oh, like I put that out there. Now I've got to go like get behind it. But it's so worth it because as you do it, it almost gets to the same level or just as easy to do what you used to do or you used to be capable of at the same level, and you feel happier doing it. You grow faster. So I think it's important once you've gotten to a stage and you're out selling and you're like, okay, now all of a sudden I'm getting 4 or 5 every single day. Okay, well, what do we got to do internally to make sure that like you're coming home and 7, 8 a day is what makes you happy and makes you feel like I've done enough. Now, you don't want to feel like if you have one bad day that, oh, at the end of the world, but that mentality of like Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, those guys of like, I demand a level of excellence for myself, I think is really, really important.
Yeah, never settle.
I love it. So talk to me really quick on some of your favorite closes. So every like morning meeting, we always go over a lot of different ones, but like, do you have one yourself that you're like, I use this close quite a bit, or I say this certain phrase or thing to kind of get people on board at some different point of the sale? Do you have anything like that? Or
Yeah, one of the bigger ones that I do is throughout the pitch, I'll always try to get them to admit to bugs where they're seeing it. Sometimes they'll just be stubborn. Oh, I don't have bugs. It's Texas. Come on. Everyone gets the bugs. You always get them throughout the year, usually late summer. And so that's why I'll get them admitting bugs and just especially talking about all the things the bugs that their neighbors are seeing. So a big one that I always do is I try to preface it and build. So I obviously build through the service. I say, hey, I hope you're not getting anything on the inside right now. Some of the neighbors have been a little bit unfortunate, have been getting some of the sugar ants in there coming through the back door and the kitchen areas, spiders in rooms. And so I'll sort of preface that, just sort of see how they react with their face. And then I'll go in, talk about the outside. Obviously, that's our main focus. If we can get rid of the bugs out there, they don't go in. And one of my closes that I usually try going to once they've agreed to like seeing bugs, I go, okay, so do you want me to take care of the inside or just keep it outside? Or have you guys been seeing, I'll preface it with, have you guys been seeing the bugs on the inside or are they just outside? And they go, just outside. And I go, perfect. Would you like me to hit the inside as well or just keep it out here? And then sometimes they're like, let's just keep it outside. I go, awesome. We'll make sure we warranty that inside if you do ever see anything in between. Mm-hmm. But I'll make sure I add to my notes right now to hit the outside first. That's sort of my flow to help them feel comfortable, or, most of the neighbors preferred that we do just the outside on the first one, but would you like us to do the inside as well? It's always included.
I really like that. And one thing that I like too about your approach is it's very much like we're gonna sit here for a while, find the problem and kind of like get through it. I always hear you talking with guys in the morning meeting like, hey, we're gonna get deeper. I'm gonna get further with people today and just kind of like continue the conversation on longer. Was that something that you learned like pretty quickly? Was that something that you learned over time? I think a lot of people never get that. They never learn to get the harder to get customer. We talk about like a green customer, someone that wants it, a yellow one that's like someone that's kind of the fence, and reds. I think you're one of those guys that are really good at getting the yellows and reds quite a bit. And talk to me there on like on asking for it a couple more times, learning how to go back. Was there a time maybe that like it sparked like a light bulb went off in your head that you're like, okay, I am gonna like push more? Like, was there a moment like that? Or
yeah, there's this. It's honestly just going one more than you think. Even just still today, like there's still some deals where it's like, there's no way they're gonna do it, but I'll just say it as a joke. Or like, just go inside, grab that card or whatever, and then they just turn and they go inside, and I go, no way. It's exciting, but it's what I always look at each summer, especially my first summer. We always talked about how the first 2 months are the learning curve. And so in those 2 months, I didn't have enough experience myself to be able to read, this person's a buyer, this person's not a buyer, because I realized there's so many experiences where I just maybe talked about another bug, just put another idea in their head, and then gave another close, and they actually said yes. That's what I do now still. If they say no, perfect, no worries, your neighbors, and I'll go into the neighbors, and then I'll just try to list off more bugs. I feel like I even say things that aren't even bugs sometimes, but they have like a bug kind of name. But it helps just create images in their head, and sometimes it sparks this like, okay, yeah, they're doing a lot, or I do see that bug that they're just very stubborn and not admitting to. And so I look at the first 2 months, especially like May, June, as learning curve. And so even like right now, I am going a little deeper, like actually a lot deeper sometimes, just because I want to see and practice what objections I can overcome, different routes that I can move the customer so that they can admit, like what has helped them admit more. Because that's the thing, it's getting them comfortable with you on the door so that they can actually admit the problem and then look at you as a solution. And so I always look at that the first 2 months, especially because then it's July and August, and that's just open season. You're ready, you're trained, you're dialed in.
I love it. What was for you from the beginning, to now in your sales career? Was there ever a morning meeting when someone got up and said some type of like sales tip or trick, or some speech or anything that you're like, man, that really stuck with me, and I still use that to this day? On like for me, like I remember the first time I heard preface feature benefit, that was a big like aha moment for me. Or when I heard like option closing or yes trains or all those different things. And then there's like the motivational ones where it was like find your purpose of why you're out there, and like thinking big. Was there ever a meeting like that you can remember? I was sitting there, someone said so and so said this, and I still carry that with me today. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's the feel, felt, found. I love the feel, felt, found, because in my life, like in work, but also in my personal life and with family, I love connecting with people and just helping people know that they are listened to and understood. And so using the feel, felt, found, and I sort of understood the sales psychology of that and how it actually like helps the customer that you're talking to really trust and feel the validity of what you're saying. And so just, I completely feel that, like acknowledging that, I'm fine, I'm not interested. It's, no, I completely feel that. You're listening to them. So it's them on their part. It's, okay, like I appreciate that. They validated me. And then you go on, well, lots of your neighbors in the area, they've all felt the exact same way. It's common. You're helping them connect, and it opens them up to you more. And so they're able to listen a little bit more. And then what they have found is obviously everything we are doing has been so different from all these other companies, has been so beneficial, and they've actually been so grateful that we're even out here taking care of all the neighbors. Bringing them through that whole cycle, I've realized helps people be able to then admit at that point, okay, well, what do you guys do for the ants and stuff like that? So it helps them break out of that shell, and I just feel like personal connection. They actually listen to you as a person, you listen to them as a person, and you actually come to terms and like, okay, we're here, let's just talk about it. It's just a conversation.
It breaks down so many barriers that like I think naturally are just up there. Adding in, especially neighbors like you did right there, is just so powerful, because it brings in the third party, validates their what they're currently saying, but also gets them in the right direction. Mm-hmm. So I if you were listening to that, I'm hoping you're keying in that's important to use the feel, felt, found, because that for me was a very, very big close. Well, cool. So talk to me really quick about the crazy experiences. We all have them. I mean, was there a crazy rep? Was there a crazy like door? Was there like anything that you're like, man, that was kind of wild? Any stories like that through the years?
I actually found one. It was a day or two ago. I went and I showed Cade in Brandon, showed some of the guys. I knocked on this one door. It was in North Carolina. I remember it was at the end of this one cul-de-sac. Obviously, it had a no listings, like a paper taped to a 2x4. But that's irrelevant because they had bugs, so I had to knock it. So I knock on the door. This one dude who looks like the Wolverine, like actually looks like the Wolverine. I'll show you the video later. So it'll be below. But he actually looked like Wolverine wearing a lifting belt. Comes out, and he's just there. And he has like a huge tattoo down the side of his body. And I was like, hey, I'm out here taking care of all the neighbors. And then we're just talking normal. He admits to ants in the yard, and it was great. And so then his mom just like opens up the door, and she's like, hey, honey, what's up? And then he just turns. It was like a flip switched, and he just, get the F off my property. He grabs the 2x4 and shoves me off his porch. And so I'm there, and I'm like trying to figure it out. And I was like, what is going on? I was so confused because he was admitting to stuff. And then right as his mom showed up, he freaks out. And so I'm there like slowly, because I knew he kind of wasn't fully there. And so I was like slowly like backpedaling away, but like I didn't want to just easily get off the property. I was holding my ground too. And so I'm like backing off. He's like throwing his mom off of him, like trying to come at me. And I'm like holding my ground, trying to back up. And so then I went and grabbed my Segway, and I'm slowly going off the property. And then I pull out my phone and I start videoing me. And he's like, yeah, he says a lot of words. Those will not be included. But he says a lot of things, and he's there holding the 2x4 in his hand, just like swinging it, that says no soliciting. So that's a great video. It's a beautiful picture too. I took a little screenshot of it, so it's a great memory. But I actually use that as I continue to all the neighbors. I go, holy, do you know that guy in that house right there? Like, he just like chucked me off his porch. He was doing all this, and they go, oh my gosh, he mows my lawn. He goes, that's horrible. And then I sold him.
That's awesome.
So,
well, dude, when you were saying the Wolverine story and you were like building up with like the block and everything, I'm like fully expecting the entire time for like the fangs from like, or what do you call those? The blades.
Yeah.
Like, that's where I thought I was like, where are those coming in? That's crazy. Well, and what I love though that you turned that negative into a positive, and so much of door-to-door selling is that, and that's honestly bigger than door-to-door. That's life. Like when you do get a sour lemon that comes through, like squeezing that in a lemonade, like although that's kind of a cheeky old saying, it's an important skill to have. Like when things come down and it's not exactly what you want, finding a way to turn it into a sale is just a good life skill to have. And so if you do have negative things coming at you, I think there is a lot of times people will be like, I'm debilitated because of it. I can't do anything. This is horrible. And then there's the other people that find and learn from it and then use the experience to their advantage and push forward. Mm. And I think that's the one thing with the negative crazies or stuff like that. Have fun, look back at it, laugh, and go get some more sales. So I love it. Cool. Just I want to do a lightning round really quick. I just want to like throw a couple like fast things out really quick. It's 1-2 word answers, and we'll kind of see just where it takes us. Okay, so really quick, celebrity crush.
Ooh, Margot Robbie.
Margot Robbie. That's a solid one. Barbie.
Wow.
Favorite book.
Probably say The Happiness Advantage.
Cool. It's a good one. I really like that book. It's a solid. He was a Harvard professor, right?
I believe. I loved his TED Talk too.
Yeah, it was really, really good. Be the Unicorn or whatever. I forget. His sister was a unicorn. Watch that video if you haven't. Let's do favorite movie.
It's a hard one. I feel like my go-to that I just say is Lego Batman. It's such like a lighthearted one. It's actually, okay, sorry, scratch that. We're not doing Lego Batman. It would be oh my gosh. It's with, why can't I think of it right now? Good Will Hunting. That is my favorite movie, actually.
I've never seen it.
It's an amazing movie.
Okay.
I'm wicked smart. I guess it's a great movie. My boy, he's wicked smart. It's got a good old Boston accent, but the message overall, it's an amazing story.
Okay, I'll have to give it a watch. Favorite movement.
Favorite movement.
Yeah.
I'm not big on movements.
I don't really know where I'm going with the question. We'll skip it.
Safer.
Yeah, there we go. And I guess last thing, favorite thing to wear.
My favorite thing to wear would probably be Jordans.
Jordans. Okay.
I feel like I always have a different colored pair of Jordans just to match the fit.
Love it. So, I mean, I guess kind of in closing, Zach, I mean, is there anything that you would say to like a first year rep? Kind of someone that's like starting out and finishing up like, or kind of in the middle of their midsummer. Let's say someone's done somewhat decent. I mean, everyone that's kind of out typically in June is going to stick it out and go through the rest of the summer. What's one thing that you would say to like the average first year rep on like how to maximize that opportunity?
I'd say get in the right headspace that, listen, you're here, you've already made usually more money than you would working a full summer elsewhere, so you have made great money. But like that aside is you're already here. Like a little bit of what I said earlier is you are missing out on family things already. You're already away from friends. Make the most of your time. Don't waste it, because some days you like, oh, if I sit here, it's hot, whatever, it'll be good. But it's okay. You sit there. At the end of the day, if you sat or if you just worked hard, that time flies so quick. Honestly, it's actually pretty slow if you are sitting around. But when you actually work, you're going to find more success. Time will fly faster, and you're going to be so much happier looking at your end results based off of every ounce of effort that you did put throughout the summer.
100%. Time flies faster when you're just out there working. Mm-hmm. Motion's the lotion, That's what I always say. Got to make it happen. Well, dude, Zach, honestly, blast having you on. Anything else you want to leave BRD Nation with before we hop off?
We're the best out there. Nobody compares.
I love it. Dude, Zach was harassing one of the kids at church today about following us on the Instagram page. It was hilarious.
I leaned forward and, hey, you guys follow BRD Nation yet? I'll follow White Knight Nation. White Knight Nation will never get a follow.
Well, with that plug, follow, like, subscribe. Thanks everybody for watching. Zach, thanks for coming on, and we out.